There we go. No, now that sign came back. They had it started.
Any lane.
Live from Wadsworth and Bloomington, Illinois, and a bunch of other places around the state and the country, it's Tuesday Night Live via Zoom. Good evening and welcome to the Illinois Wesleyan Class of 1970 50th Reunion Celebration. I'm Bill DeVore, your former senior class president, and along with Kathy Larry Luton, co-chair for our 50th reunion. We're so happy you could join us for this rather unique way to gather together. We're going to spend the next hour taking a walk down memory lane, receiving an update on all things Wesleyan from President Dr. President Nugent, paying a special tribute to one of our class's most distinguished members, discussing ways we can stay connected to IWU through our philanthropy, and then taking a look at our plans for physically getting together in 2021 to truly celebrate our 50th reunion, although technically it will be 51 years. But first, I want to recognize an elite group of classmates who, for about a year and a half now, have been engaged in planning and brainstorming, and yes, even doing a little scheming to provide a memorable 50th reunion experience for all of us. First, Steve Burrichter, our Something Like the Argus class newsletter editor. Earl Franz, who will help wrap things up for us tonight. George, we call him Sonny Freeman, who has been involved in working with IWU's alumni staff in planning several special event activities which will now take place next year. Karen Short Mills, who along with Sonny will give us a glimpse of what to expect in 2021. Spence Sauter, who has created and helped maintain our website and who is responsible for the great graphics and 60s music, which we'll be enjoying later. And then finally, Barbara Grace Wilson and Dave Wilson, our dynamic duo, who along with Sonny and Karen have been our boots on the ground locally and who have created what we all fear most, a memory/trivia quiz, which we'll be participating in shortly. Also, we want to thank Kaylee Kurtz, the Assistant Director of Alumni Engagement for Reunions at IWU, for her incredible insights, suggestions, and follow-through in working with our committee. And also a big shout out to Sarah Vore from Wesleyan's webinar support area for helping us pull this off tonight. Now, finally, I want to explain a few items related to Zoom. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen, for most of you, it'll be the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the word View. When you click on that, it will show Speaker and Gallery View. You'll want to click on the Gallery View to see all of tonight's participants, which you can do by scrolling. Also, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the word Chat. Since we can't all talk at once, just those with a part in tonight's program will be unmuted. So if you have a comment or question that you'd like to share, select Chat, write in what's on your mind, and everyone will be able to see it. All right, let's get on with tonight's festivities. I need for you to grab a pen or pencil and some paper, and I'm going to turn this over to Dave and Barb Wilson for part one of our 50th reunion trivia quiz.
Thanks, Bill. Hello, everyone. It's so good to see everybody. Well, Bill mentioned memory. And we all need a little tune-up with our memory function from time to time. So David and I are here to help you.
Thank you, Barb. We're going to have a class of 70 trivia game, and it's going to be in 2 segments, probably about 6 questions, then we'll have a break and then come back and finish it later. But we want you to keep track of your scores because there is a prize for the winner or winners that will be announced. The first question.
Whoop. Wait a minute now. I have to say right now that this is a no fact checking zone.
Did you say fat?
No, I said fact checking allowed. No fact checking aloud, okay?
Okay,
All right, now,
okay.
all right, and so number one, Dave.
Here we go. We're going to go through these relatively quick, so get a quick pencil. Number one, how did President Eckley arrive on campus in 1968? Was it A, by parachute, B, in a helicopter, or C, riding a Harley? Correct answer is B, in a helicopter.
Mhm. I think that's pretty dramatic for a economist from Caterpillar, right?
Right, right.
Mhm.
Number two.
Number two, can you name one of the two downtown movie theaters in Bloomington? A, the Castle, B, the Palace, or C, the Virginia. And the answer is A, the Castle.
Speaking of movies, on the way down to those movie theaters from campus, do you remember passing the Spudnut shop?
Mm.
The girls might say they preferred passing the Brack shop, as I recall.
Loved the Brack shop, that's for sure. But there was another theater in downtown Bloomington, and that was the Irvin.
Yeah.
And so we went to quite a few movies.
No, I don't think so, because I think we spent most of our time on Saturday nights over at the library, didn't we, studying?
Well, we'll have to check that fact.
Or-
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right.
Just thought.
All right, number three, Dave.
Number three, who was responsible for establishing the Wesleyan mascot, Tommy Titan? Was it A, Lee Short, B, Ed Alsine, or C, Jack Hornberger? The answer is A, Lee Short.
Karen Willis's dad. Yeah, we all love Lee. He was probably
He's responsible for many of us getting into Wesleyan because he was also the admissions director and wore many hats at the time.
Mhm. Okay. We didn't know that about Lee Short until recently.
No, we did our research.
Mhm. All right, number four. What was the name of the dorm that changed from women to men at the beginning of our freshman year? Was it A, Kemp, B, Gulick, or C, Franklin? The answer is B, Gulick. And you lived there your freshman year.
I
didn't
lived
you?
there in Gulick, and I would say that the KDs were very surprised to see men looking out their windows into their windows.
Mhm. A little surprise there, right?
Number five, can you name the infamous tree on campus that was chopped down in the dark of the night in the fall of 1967? Was it A, the tree of good and evil, B, the giving tree, or C, the international tree of learning? Easy question. Obviously, it was C, the international tree of learning.
So did you know anything about that?
Well, it was a 25-foot Douglas fir next to Holmes Hall, but
Other than that, you don't know anything more?
don't know.
Mhm.
Mystery.
Okay. All right. Number six, the field house was named after Fred Young. Who was Fred Young? Was he A, a successful Wesleyan football coach in the 1940s? B, was he Tommy Titan's grandfather? Or C, was he a sports writer for the Daily Panagraph? And the answer is C. He was a sports writer for the Daily Panagraph, and Dave, you knew him.
Yeah, when we got back to town, I actually had a meeting with him, I think 1979, and lo and behold, about a month later, I saw a mention of my name in the Young's Yarns in the Panagraph. Said something about being, though a small fellow, da 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 da. So I remember him. He passed away in 1980, but he's from the Wesleyan class of 1915. So now we're going to take a break, just a short break, and we've got a special trivia question.
It's a freebie.
It's a freebie. We won't grade you on it because I'm going to give you the answer. The question is, how are President Nugent, former Supreme Court Justice David Davis of Bloomington, Kenyon College, and Illinois Wesleyan all connected? You don't have to answer. Here's the answer. David Davis graduated from Kenyon College in 1832 at the age of 17. He studied at, excuse me, I get choked up even thinking about this. He studied at Yale, then came back to Bloomington to practice law. He became a close friend and confidant to Abraham Lincoln and was appointed to the Supreme Court in 1862. Now in 1850, David Davis was one of the founding trustees of Illinois Wesleyan. In fact, in 1854, he donated some money to the university that allowed the university to purchase what is now the main part of our campus. Now in 2003, Georgia Nugent became the first female president of Kenyon College. She served there for 13 years. And then in 2019, she became the first woman president of Illinois Wesleyan. Now, if you look real close at the Founders Gate on Main Street on campus, you'll see the name of David Davis inscribed along with many other names. Kathy, I think now you have a very special introduction to make.
I do, and I knew the answer to that question too, and I was going to give it, and then you did. But I would point out that Barb and Dave's backyard backs right up to the David Davis Mansion yard, so they're the local experts. I have to tell you, it's such a privilege as an alum and a trustee to be able to introduce Georgia Nugent to all of you. It only took, she's our 20th president, and this is 2020, and there's something karma there. I guess it only took trustees 20 times to be able to get a president whose pronoun is she and her. And we are very happy to have her. We were thrilled when we were able to recruit Georgia last summer as our interim president. And that was the plan. We were going to have an interim president, do a year-long search, the typical way academic institutions do it. And when we looked at her bio and found out she was willing to come and be our interim, and you're looking down at it and it goes Princeton, Swarthmore, Cornell, Brown, nationally known classicist, senior fellow at the Council of Independent Colleges, where she led development of a national campaign to promote the value of a liberal arts education. Could I say that again and louder? Liberal arts education. Georgia is nationally known as one of the people who understands and values and does her best to communicate to everybody the value of liberal arts. So that's been tremendously helpful. So she'd been with us maybe, I don't know, 8, 10 weeks. And people on the trustees started saying, wow, she's really good. And this, of course, was pre-COVID and pre lots of other things. And we found out that while we were thinking she was pretty amazing, she was thinking that she kind of liked Wesleyan too, and that maybe 1 year of Wesleyan wouldn't be enough. When she was named as our president, one of the things that just really touched me was when she said, she looked right in the cameras and said, I fell in love with this place. And we all love Wesleyan, and I was in love with having somebody who felt the same way. So she has been with us, and since she joined us, I said to her a while back, if you had but known everything that was going to happen, and she just gives you that calm Georgia smile. But you know, we've had our curriculum review process. It's still underway, and it's tremendous. When you all see the whole story of it, of what we've been doing to be what today's students want and need. and they are the people that we exist for, the students that we are teaching. That's been an exciting program. Now, without a few bumps along the way. Then COVID, the long overdue national commitment to really fight for and push for social justice, and just a few little economic blips along the way. She's been amazing to lead us through all of that with perpetually good nature. When I'm ready to start screaming about things, I've always said that Wesleyan has had a series of presidents, and if you count, we've been through 6, I think, and Mark Sheldon will correct me if I'm wrong. It might be 7, but I think it's 6. And we always use the comparison to, we've had different hands on the tiller, but we've always moved forward. And we've had presidents who brought one strength and presidents who brought another. But I will tell you, as a longtime trustee watching all of this, we have had no better. We have had no firmer, no less focused a hand on the tiller to continue bringing Wesleyan along to be the college that we all loved and today's students will love, than Georgia Nugent. And we're very lucky to have her. And if you haven't had a chance to meet her yet, you will. She'll be the guest of honor at our dinner when we do this in person a year from now, come hell or high water. So you'll get to meet her then, if not before. So Georgia, in your class of 70 sweatshirt, thank you. Hand delivered by Barb and Dave. Welcome to the class of 70.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Kathy, for that really beautiful introduction. I haven't had a chance to meet all of you, but I've certainly had the chance to work closely with Kathy on the trustees. Sunny has been a terrific supporter, and Barb and Dave have been great and brought me my shirt. So I am so sorry that we can't be together tonight on the campus. But it's great. We are all learning to adapt and to utilize the technology we have. There's a lot of that happening on campus, which we can talk more about if you're interested. We're learning to make it work. And so I appreciate that all of you here tonight are making it work. And it's great to see your faces. And I really look forward to when we're together next year, I hope. So Kathy has asked me to say a little bit about things that are going on campus. I should, because COVID is so much on all of our minds, I will say a little bit about the pandemic and Illinois Wesleyan's response. The first thing to say is I am really proud of how the university community has managed this. As you all know, suddenly last spring, the students left for spring break and they never came back. So all of a sudden, within essentially 2 weeks, the faculty had to completely turn around and learn how to teach online. Now, we all know that online is not what we do. It's not what we want to do. The essence of our education is that face-to-face communication. But they did it, and it worked pretty well. I mean, obviously, we're surveying our students, we're surveying our faculty to see how did it go. And I will tell you a datum that stood out for me was when we asked students, how's it going? And we asked them, how satisfied are you with advising? And in the spring term, when everything went topsy-turvy. And in many ways, advising is mentoring. It's what we're all about, right? It's what that student-faculty relationship is all about. And 90% of our students said they were extremely satisfied with advising. And that to me says that we were making it work. We didn't choose it, we didn't want it, but we made it work. And then what happened over the summer is extraordinary. Everybody on this campus worked flat out. The faculty signed into courses so that they could learn to teach better online. Those who were more advanced taught those who were less advanced. And everyone kind of contributed to seeing how can we make this work and how can we make it work better now that we know it's going to be what we're doing, right? And I also want to give a shout out to not only the faculty. You all spent years here. I'm sure many of you formed relationships with staff members. The staff was phenomenal as well. You can imagine everything on this campus had to be moved to do 6 feet of distancing. Every classroom had to be changed. Every office needed plexiglass. We needed hand sanitizers, we needed whatever. And the folks on the staff have just been amazing. Our IT staff, as you can imagine, had tons of work to do to try to get us up to speed. So all of that went into the opening this fall, and I'm sure you're all reading the press, you're seeing what's happening on college campuses. At the very beginning of the semester, we had a little outbreak, and it was partying. I won't say it was ISU, but I won't say that it wasn't. And we did have a bit of an outbreak at the very beginning. If I recall, it was about 10 students. Since then, things have been great. Yes, we have positives, a couple a day. We manage them. There have been no serious illnesses. And very importantly, there have been no positives that originated in an educational setting. So all of the care that we took, that our classrooms would be okay, our labs would be okay, that is all successful. We've also had no staff member who tested positive. We've had very few at all, but those that did become infected, none of them were related to a work situation. So all the hard work that everybody put in has paid off. Now, I hate to say this, every day I think, I want to say this, but I'm nervous about what happens tomorrow. But so far, Illinois Wesleyan is doing great. And the students are very happy to be back. I've had a number of, I met with a freshman class a couple of weeks ago. They were great. They were freshmen, and we were really worried about first-year students. They're going to be isolated. They may not have that much contact with others or with their faculty. These students were terrific. They said, my faculty are great. I feel connected. I'm meeting other students, even in this online venue, you know. So we're really happy about how we've managed to weather this so far. You never know, right? I thought I'd say a little bit as well about other things that are going on campus. We're also very, very pleased that our admissions and enrollment office stayed in very close touch with prospective students all summer. And we feared, as everybody feared, that students would disappear. They would think this is too hard, it's not what I wanted, you know, I don't know if I want to try this. We actually ended up considerably above the freshman class that we expected. And I contribute that to, again, everybody pitching in. Students communicating with students, faculty checking in with prospective students, and the admissions office. So we ended up about 50 students over what we had predicted, which is phenomenal. I will tell you, I won't gloat, but I'll say that some of our, thank you, Dave, some of our near peers, competitors, are seeing something like a 20% decline. So this is phenomenal news and great for us. In that freshman class, I would say that about almost 30% of the freshman class identify as persons of color, and we need to begin mirroring our society in clearer ways, and so that's excellent news. We had a real push, as Kathy knows, particularly the trustees wanted us to look much more intently at transfer students. Traditionally, our kind of college has not been very transfer friendly, and that doesn't serve us very well right now. So the faculty worked very hard last year to kind of increase those pathways, open those pathways, and it has been successful. We have about 42 new transfer students, which is up more than 30% than what we've had before. And a special note out to Mark, when he's sometime resident, and Dave and Barb, the McLean County Scholarship, which is so terrific. It's funded by our associates, the university associates, many of whom are alumni, but not all. Some are friends of the university. And we have about 65 McLean County scholars in this new freshman class. And that is terrific news. Yeah, it's good for everybody. We want to be a good community citizen, and the more we can educate, thank you, Bill, the more we can educate our students, our community here, the more we build the community. I don't know if you all are aware, but Illinois is second only to my other home state, New Jersey, in a race that we don't want to win, which is we are second only to New Jersey in the number of Illinois high school graduates who leave the state for college. We want to reverse that trend. And what the McLean County Scholarships has made possible is a real movement on that front. I also want to say that our retention rate is super. We are about 12 percentage points above the national average at about 90%. And we also, we're very proud today. I'm sure you all know, and I'm keenly aware of it in higher ed, today's students and parents want to be sure that their education is going to lead to a future that they can see, right? So much more than when we were in college. And I have to say, I was a little alarmed by seeing that the class of 70 is having its 50th reunion. I'm class of 73, so it's creeping up. Right? But when we went to college, there was much more of do what you love, the rest will follow, right? Today's students are not like that, and for good reason. The recession, the difficult period we're going through now. So our students and families want to be able to know, will this education lead me into a career? And as I hope you all know, we are #1 in the state of Illinois for placing our students and for having the highest entering salaries. So last year's class, their first destination in either continuing education, graduate school, or job placement is over 97% within 6 months of graduation. That is terrific. That's what families and students are looking for, and rightly so, and we offer that. So I wanted to tell you all about that. Let's see, other things we have going on. As Kathy mentioned, we did have an overall program review of all of our academic programs last year, carried out mainly by the faculty, and they made recommendations to the trustees. In the vast majority of cases, the trustees accepted those recommendations. In a few cases, they did not, and that has resulted in some tension on campus, as you can probably imagine. But as well, it's been a very valuable process. And that faculty group also recommended a number of new ideas. And so we have about 19 departments now that are working on, we called them transformation. And I think that ended up being a scary name for some reason. What transformation really means is self-improvement. As a department, are you thinking about ways that your program could be even better? And so, as I say, there are about 19 programs now that are doing that. And some of them are collaboration with other departments. Some of them are revamping our curriculum for ways that we know students learn now. So there's a lot of positive activity going on to ensure that we continue to be that place that students want to choose for their education. We have, I won't list all of these, but if you look at some of the silly surveys that are out there, whether it's US News or a number of new surveys that have arisen, we are top notch. We end up being at the very top of colleges in Illinois, at the very top of colleges in the Midwest, whether it's for value or for outcomes or for student satisfaction, and all of that is, you know, that's who we want to be, right? Let's see, what else do I want to talk to you about? I want to say a little bit about, I guess I mentioned this in some ways, but obviously we want to be a university of choice. And we want to be sure that when our students choose us, they are very happy with their experience here. And we survey students, I talk to students, and I can tell you that today's students are having an experience like you had. They love their faculty. They become very engaged in their studies. They're excited about their athletic success. And last week, we had a couple of meetings with parents. We have a parents board, just like there's an alumni board. And we had a family evening because, like homecoming, we couldn't have family weekend on campus, right? So I had an opportunity to speak to parents in both of those venues. And our parents are very, very happy with what their students are experiencing. And it was very, very striking because you won't be surprised that a number of parents have a student who's studying here and a student maybe who's studying in another university, right? And overwhelmingly, parents would say to us, you guys are doing so much better than my sons or daughters, you know, other college. We also, interestingly, had a parent on a call who is a faculty member from another university. And she said, you are doing so much better than my university. So we're all under a lot of stress. We're all learning new things, but Illinois Wesleyan is weathering it very well. And that happens with your support, with your engagement, with your dedication to the university. We couldn't do this without alumni who care and who make a difference. So I want to thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful online homecoming, and I really, really look forward to meeting you all next time we can be together.
Thank you so much for coming, President Nugent, and it's great to see you again. Thank you for coming to help us celebrate our 50th class reunion. So
my pleasure, Barb. Now, it's hard for me, I only have one channel, so I don't know if there were things people wanted to ask in the chat. Okay, Mark, being on that negative word list. Do you want me to say a little bit about that? Okay, so I might as well say that. Because there were some changes made in in the academic programs, and if you are watching colleges and universities in Illinois, if you are watching colleges and universities around the country, you will know that everyone is engaging in self-examination about their programs. We did that. That was the process that we engaged in over this past year. And in the end, there were several programs that we decided were not, what we want to focus on is what our students want and need for their futures. And there were several programs that we felt from the evidence were not meeting that standard. So I'll give you an example. One is French. This pains me. I speak 8 languages. I love language. It's what I teach. But the fact is, neither at the college level nor at the high school level are students deciding to study French. So we need to devote our resources to the things that students want to learn. Another painful example is religion. We had 5 full-time faculty members teaching 5 students in religion. We need to deploy our resources more effectively. It's not that we're going to stop teaching religion. It's not that we're going to stop teaching French or the other areas. It's that it doesn't make sense for us to have a major where nobody is majoring. So out of our 1,600 students, the majors who were affected by the cuts were about 30. These were programs in which students were not majoring. They still want to take classes in those areas. We know that, and we will continue to offer that. We just had to realign things a bit. Now, we are now under examination along with at least 7 other colleges, and there will be more, who have taken similar steps. And we expected this. We tried to follow all of the rules and regulations. We will be investigated. The history of this organization is that they have never found anybody to be other than guilty. So we fully expect that they will condemn us. And what that means is they will publish our name in their journal that is read by their organization. We believe we've done the right thing for our students. We are in no way whatsoever stepping away from liberal arts or humanities, which is something you may hear. That is not what we're doing. We're trying to provide the programming that our students need. Many of you will know that areas in business, such as accounting, finance, economics, the nursing program as well, are very, very attractive to our students. And we have almost no faculty in those areas. We have to be able to devote our resources to building up those programs that students need and want. So that's what's going on. It's going around the country. As Kathy mentioned, in my case, I am actually nationally known as an advocate for the liberal arts. I have not stepped away from that for a second, but I also have never believed that the liberal arts has to be completely free of any practical application. I think that's a problem that we have developed in our higher education system. And what I look forward to at Illinois Wesleyan is that we have the perfect opportunity to marry great pre-professional training with great liberal arts training and education. And that's what I'm looking to do. So I hope that you can relate to that. Many alumni write in and say, I didn't major in English or French or whatever it is. I didn't major in that, but I really valued the courses that I took. Absolutely. We want to keep doing what we're doing, which is exactly that. You may not decide to major in that field, but you benefit tremendously from being able to take coursework in that field. So that's what's about. I hope that maybe clarifies some for folks, and it is a controversy, there's no question. I think we're going to come out on a very bright side of it.
Thank you so much, President Nugent. We appreciate the update. There's a lot going on campus. We're aware of that, and it's good that you're able to share it with us.
Yeah.
Very quickly now, I want to get back into our second segment of the trivia contest. So I'm going to run real quickly through it. So get your pencils sharpened.
Yeah, and David, Barb, just to remember, we're about 15 minutes behind.
Okay. Number 7, what was the total cost to attend Wesleyan for our freshman year? That includes tuition, room, board, fees, books, and pizza, I suppose beer too, for that matter. But A, was it $4,250? B, $2,720? Or C, $1,450? This is an easy one. The answer is B, $2,720. And Barb, what do you think it is today?
So we kind of added up some costs and we think it's a whopping kind of, I don't know, $63,000 now in 2020, something like that.
A
So,
lot of beer.
yeah, so you think students need some scholarships? I think so. Barb number 8, quick.
All right.
Okay, can I raise my hand on that?
Yes,
Just so
ma'am.
people understand. This is screwy. All of higher education is screwy in this regard. Basically, the average Illinois Wesleyan student pays about $20,000. That's a lot more than the 2,000, but it's a lot less than the 60,000.
And that really points out the benefit of scholarship funds.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So number 8, what significant event happened on campus 100 years before our graduation? Was it A, first international student admitted? B, first woman student admitted? Or C, first African-American student admitted? And the answer is B, first woman admitted. That was in 1870. And, you know, I wonder if they had hours. Maybe 6 o'clock.
Okay, number 9. Number 9.
All right.
Who gave our commencement address? Was it A, Senator Everett Dirksen, B, Governor Richard Ogilvie, or C, Bill Duncan?
Oh, well, that one's an easy one.
Right. The
It wasn't Bill Duncan, we know that.
the answer was B, Governor Richard Ogilvie.
Yeah, the governor was here. All right, number 10. Who read their poetry at the Phoenix Coffee House in 1969? Was it A, Gwendolyn Brooks, B, Allen Ginsberg, or C, Doris Myers? The answer is B, Allen Ginsberg. Now, Gwendolyn Brooks was at Wesleyan, but she was here in 1972, and she was actually the commencement speaker then.
Number 11. This is a good one, I think. When were women's hours abolished for juniors and seniors? Was it A, our sophomore year, B, our junior year, or C, our senior year? Correct answer is B, junior year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I read somewhere that the women needed to have parental permission to
The juniors and seniors.
the juniors and seniors.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of forged signatures, I assume there.
All right, number 12. What popular singing group performed at homecoming in 1969? Was it A, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, B, the Flying Burrito Brothers, or C, the Letterman? And the answer is C, the Letterman.
Although I think all 3 of those groups performed at Wesleyan during our 4 years.
Mm-hmm. And we just recently found out from Sonny that the Flying Burrito Brothers were a country rock group.
Yeah, and Sonny knows everything about them.
Yeah.
Number 13, what was the name of the drugstore across the main street from campus? Was it A, Nearsteimer Drug, B, Wall Drug, or C, Biazzi Drug? Correct answer is A, Nearsteimer Drug. And one little short story here. As a pledge at the Sigma Chi House my freshman year, the actives would give me a penny and give me 5 minutes to run across the street to Nearsteimer's Drug to get a black gumball with 1 penny. And eventually we caught on and figured out you could just put black shoe polish on any gumball and come back with it.
Oh, you Sigma Chi's were sharp guys. All right, number 14. Who laid the cornerstone for the Mark Evans Observatory during March of 1969? Was it A, Wendell Hess, B, Gary Kessler, or C, Colonel Frank Borman? And it was C, Colonel Frank Borman. And you have a
I met Colonel Mormon at
Autograph.
the convocation, and I had a convocation brochure that I was able to have him autograph, and that particular brochure now is at the Ames Library on display.
Mhm.
Number 15, what beloved School of Drama professor was in combat during the Korean War? Was it A, John Ficca, B, Norvid Roos, or C, James Ascareggi? Correct answer is A, John Ficca, and he was actually in combat both at the Pusan perimeter and also at Incheon.
All right, number 16. Oh, this is an easy one. What iconic 24-hour restaurant served the trucker special and had an 8-foot chicken on the roof? Was it A, the Cinnerack, B, Bob Johnson's Bradville, or C, Kentucky Fried Chicken? So everybody together, Bradville D. Yep.
Speaking of
Yep.
Cinnerack, it was a drive-in movie theater on the back side of that. That's where Barbara and I had our first date.
All right, 17, and that's that.
17, what was the name of the all-campus mixer held at the beginning of our freshman year? Was it A, the grind, B, the stroll, or C, the hustle? The answer is A, the grind, although I think a lot of the guys were doing the hustle.
And the girls are doing the stroll.
Yeah.
Well, we learned that the Crying Shames performed our junior year. So, yeah. Okay, number 18. 2 more. What is the oldest building on campus? Is it A, Buck Memorial Library, B, Memorial Gymnasium, or C, Stevenson Hall? And the answer is C, Stevenson Hall. It was completed in 1910. And Stevenson Hall, Edgar Stevenson was a local doctor in town, and they named the building after him.
Number 19, and the last one.
Yeah, the best one, really.
Probably the best one, yeah, for those that are watching. Who has the most lines of listed activities in our senior year Wesleyana? I know you've all gone back and checked this, I'm sure.
Counted them up.
Is it A, Bill DeVore, B, Mark Sheldon, or C, Kathy Larry?
Oh,
wait for it. It's B, Mark Sheldon. Congratulations, Mark.
10 lines, that guy.
Yeah.
All
Bill
right, Mark.
had 8.
Bill and Kathy both had 8 lines, but I think Kathy had a few more words in her 8th line than Bill. Sorry,
I'm
Bill.
sure she did.
So now what we want you to do is count up your correct answers. And the committee will, the winners will get a free dinner at next year's reunion.
No, wait a minute. What free dinner? We all get free dinners. If we're 1970 alums, Wesleyan's going to pay for our dinner. So we all get a free dinner. So you have to come up with something else.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we have members of our committee buy the winners or winner, a drink at that dinner?
So you have to come.
But you have to be there. But
Mhm.
you also have to email your scores to Barbara at this email address, dbewils@gmail.com. dbewils@gmail.com.
We want your scores.
Want your
So
scores.
there was a possible 19. So I want the number correct. Okay.
Now, Kathy, I believe you have a special tribute.
I do. And I'd like to, first of all, introduce 3 special people who are here with us this evening. Bernie Metzger, who is Karen Zander Metzger's spouse of more than 40 years, and their daughters, Elise and Victoria, who are here. If you scroll across the top, you'll find everybody eventually. And it's very special to have them with us. I will tell you candidly, I would rather be presenting this award in any other situation than this, but it's one that means an awful lot to us. everybody who knows Karen knows she was, if there was a star in the class of 70, sorry, Mark, it was Karen. She was the, and there's that photo. There are so many beautiful pictures of her, the ones in the memory book and the ones on the website about Karen. That's the one I picked immediately because I went, oh my God, that's her, that's Karen. I've never known a more vivid person in my whole life. And sometimes it seems like the really vivid people we know are the ones who leave us too soon. And I think maybe that's for us to remember, live life. And that's a woman who lived life. She was the first person in our class to win the Distinguished Young Alum Award back when we were all young. She was the first person in our class to win the Distinguished Excellence Award from the School of Nursing. She was the first and only person in our class to ever win an honorary doctorate from Illinois Wesleyan. They don't hand those out easily. And we had decided long before the last month that we wanted to give Karen a very special award. And so it is called, it weighs 100 pounds. And I hope it doesn't, it's probably going to look backwards to you. And if it is, I'm going to read it. With admiration, respect, and all our love, the Illinois Wesleyan University Class of 1970 presents our first ever Lifetime Achievement Award to Karen Zander Metzger, BSN, MS, RN, CMA, FAAN, Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, Illinois Wesleyan University, October 2020. Bernie, this will be on its way to you soon, and for you and the girls. When I started working in healthcare and working for hospitals, I would invariably end up meeting at some point or another the senior vice president for nursing or the director of patient care. And so as a little icebreaker, I'd say, I went to a school that had a very good nursing school, and they'd go, oh, really, that's how sweet, how nice. Where is it? Illinois Wesleyan. And they'd look, and if I said the name, their jaws would drop, but usually, very often they'd say, do you know Karen Zander? And I'd say, yeah, she's my roommate. She's a real pain in the ass sometimes too. And I learned from them. And my cousin, I have a cousin who's a big mucky muck in nursing. And she said to me once, wait a minute, you went to school with Karen Zander? She said she changed the practice of nursing. Nursing used to be the doctors gave orders, the nurses took the orders and executed the orders. Karen and her colleagues said, what we do as nurses is just as important as what physicians do. In fact, when you look at patient satisfaction scores from hospitals today, it's more important because the nursing staff is with them. The patient care staff is with patients 24/7. And so they created the concept of care management through case management. And it did change the face of nursing. And she's known worldwide for that work. As many of you know, especially if you were at our last reunion, a number of years ago, Karen had a spinal problem that stemmed from an accident in childhood, and it got worse and worse and worse. And when we saw her at Sue Hoffman-Rare's husband, Mark, now I'm going to get his name wrong, Susie Hoffman's husband's funeral, Karen said she was having problems walking, and she had done a lot of research, and she was going to have a highly, it's not an experimental spinal procedure, but it's very, very tricky. And as we all know, sometimes things don't go right in medicine. And so she ended up paralyzed from here on down. And I thought, I talked to her on the phone and said, so what are you going to do with the rest of your life now? And she said, I'm going to keep on doing what I do with my life. And I said, but you travel. And she goes, I can travel. I've got my chair. And I went up to visit her a couple years after that. And she said she'd pick me up at the train station. And I said, how are you going to manage that? And she said, watch me. So there she was. And she said, I'm out in front. And there she was in her van. And I hopped in and off we went. When we got to their office building, I'm climbing out of the front seat and taking my time and getting my briefcase and my coat. And she turns the chair and goes zooming out the back door of the van. and almost ran me over and said, "Move it, geez." And I said, "Okay." And she continued to do amazing things. And it was really only when she began to suffer with a particularly debilitating and awful form of dementia that she finally had to slow down. And eventually it won the battle. And Karen left us so close to this reunion. It's sad, but it's also, I hope, an inspiration to all of us. You can do what you're going to do. You just have to decide to do it and set your mind to it. So I have 2 toasts that I would like to offer. The first one, and whether you've got water or beer or wine or you're an imaginary glass, let us all toast to Karen Zander Metzger. What a life, what well lived. And what she would say back, I heard her so many times saying these things back, you know, and I didn't say to us in the Sigma Kappa House, Karen she was a leader, but she was a problem solver. She was well, let's work on this together. She was born with teamwork in her genes, I think, and it certainly helped all of us grow. Everything I learned about teamwork and management, I learned from watching her. And what she would have said to me now is, don't just toast me, toast the others who've gone on before from our class, and there are many. And we will, at our reunion next year, they will be honored at our chapel service at our memorial service in Evelyn Chapel. So a toast to those who've gone on before, and then let us all have a toast to those of us who are here on this hilarious Zoom. And we're all having a good time, and we have plenty of time. And Kaylee's given us permission to run over, which she's going to regret because any minute somebody's going to start singing. So with that, I'd like to toss this, as they say in the biz, I think, back to Bill and Dave. But Bill's going to start to talk about something really exciting.
Thank you, Kathy. I believe one of the best ways to stay connected to IWU, besides Steve's Something Like the Argus newsletter, is by staying engaged through our support of the university financially. Now, currently the class of 70 has 306 active class members, meaning that Illinois Wesleyan has contact information and records for those 306. Now, knowing how involved our class has been over the past 50 years, it didn't surprise me to learn that 138 of us, or 40%, have made financial contributions in the last 5 years. That's January of 2016 through September of 2020. Now, Dave, I know you have some thoughts about class participation, et cetera. So if you would, share with us what you'd like to see happen in the near future, Dave.
Thanks, Bill. I think one of the things that I'm especially hopeful for is, you know, we're the class of 1970. We've got a 40% participation rate right now. And I'd sure like to get that up to 50 to match our 50th reunion date. But even more importantly, I think if we're the class of 70, why can't we push that even further and try to get to 70% participation? If we did that, I think we would rank very high among the national liberal arts colleges in the country. So it's a goal for our class, I think, you know, just to have participation. Dollars are important. I'm fully aware of that. I think that the cost of education really proves that. But I think participation is equally important, because if you get that, then the dollars are going to follow at some point, I think. If we really want to pay it forward, I think, to the generation of kids that come behind us.
Well, I like that 50, but I think I like that 70 even better. So that's a great goal to have. Thanks, Dave. Now, here's something I didn't share with you earlier. Our class has been one of the most, if not the most generous classes ever. In the last 5 years since our 45th reunion, the class of 1970 has contributed, are you ready for this? $1,149,178 to the university through a variety of giving initiatives. That is truly an awesome number, and thanks for all of you who have made that happen. So you're probably thinking, well, why this section about fundraising then? Well, these extraordinary times have made it difficult for many students to pursue the type of quality education that Wesleyan provides. We want to ensure that students who want to fulfill their hopes and dreams have the opportunity to do just that, just as we were able to do 50 years ago. Many of you recall that in 2015, we had our 45th reunion. We created what we called the Class of 70 Spirit Award. It was designed to honor current faculty and staff who encourage and inspire students through their exceptional support for and engagement with students. Many of you honored past faculty and staff members who had an impact on your time at Wesleyan by contributing to that award. In 2015, we raised over $25,000, enough to endow it. We'll be making a presentation of that award next year at our live reunion dinner. However, realizing the needs that many of our students have, as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Nugent approached us about revising our Spirit Award to be student-focused going forward. So now the award is going to go toward a student scholarship. We currently have $27,644 in that account, and we'd like to see that figure reach $50,000 before the end of the year. You may also remember that our original goal set in 2015 was 50 for 50, or $50,000 for our 50-year reunion. So I'd like for you to thoughtfully consider helping us raise the additional $23,000 by the end of December this year. That will endow the scholarship part of the Spirit Award, and then we can present a student scholarship at our live reunion dinner next year too. Well, the slide on the screen lists other avenues for giving as well. The Wesleyan Fund helps bridge the gap between tuition and the actual cost of a Wesleyan education. Also, gifts to this fund are vital to academic program innovation, as well as supporting top university priorities and new initiatives. Gifts to general student scholarships ensure a high quality education regardless of financial situations. Did you know that over 90% of incoming students qualify for some level of scholarship or grant assistance? Giving circles allow individuals to combine their gifts to annually fund a scholarship at a level of $2,500 or more. Giving Circle members are encouraged to pledge $100 a year for 3 years, and you can opt for automated payments monthly, quarterly, biannually, or annually. And if you'd like to extend your support of IWU to make a lasting impact, there are a variety of planned giving options in the form of wills, bequests, estate plans, etc., that let you provide for your family and also support IWU. Finally, if you check Wesleyan's website, you can learn more about the Titan Athletic Fund, matching gift opportunities, and other special initiatives geared toward helping students and the university in general. Well, I'm sure that's probably more than you ever wanted to know about giving, but I trust you'll consider participating in a meaningful way, especially helping us reach our $50,000 Spirit Award goal by the end of this year. And now, live from who knows where, here are Sonny Freeman and Karen Mills with a preview of what's to come in 2021.
Live from Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
In Bloomington, Illinois.
No, wait. Live, it's Friday night, and those bright lights of the previously vibrant Blono on Main Street in Bloomington are calling us all back to Fat Jack's. That's right, class of 1970. Put on your best shoes and high step into Fat Jack's, our class of 70's favorite dive bar, and as advertised, boisterous Bloomington watering hole with a dance floor. So stick your feet to the floor and dance in place to our own 60s soundtrack provided by Spin. But 6 feet apart, please, to maintain the required physical distancing on Friday night at our 50th. Oh, no. Make that our 51st reunion because it'll be 2021, not 2020. My, how time flies when we're having fun.
On Saturday, we will gather in the morning at the Evelyn Chapel. Let me get my chapel hat on here. Okay. To conduct a memorial service and a litany of remembrance for our classmates no longer with us, yet not forgotten. After the service, we may then informally gather on the quad so that we can share our memories with each other. Later in the morning, we're going to attend a typical alumni tailgate and the Titan football game. Go Titans! In the evening, we will attend the reunion dinner at the Doubletree Hilton in Bloomington, our reunion central. The university promises a special menu for our banquet, and IWU will pay for the alums dinner. Specific times and programming will be announced later.
Whoa, Karen, wait a minute. That's a lot. You said we're going to do what on Saturday? Now, let me see if I've got this right, Karen. The memorial service at Evelyn Chapel.
Yeah.
Casual get together on the Eckley Quadrangle. Then go to a tailgate party. Then the Titans football game.
Yeah.
And then a gala celebration and banquet at the Doubletree.
Yeah.
I got all this right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing, Karen. I don't know how you have that many hats. Okay, so also during our weekend together, there will be a very special program and panel discussion focusing on the story of the women of the class of 1970 breaking the glass ceiling. Watch for the announcement of time and location of this real life, an enlightening presentation. Karen, are you ready?
Yes.
Class of 1970 reunion. Be there, be square together again. 51 years in the making and counting.
Fire up!
Now I would like to introduce a classmate who most of us have heard from more than anybody else since 1970. Steve Berchter, our Something Like the Argus editor, with updates regarding our class newsletter. Steve?
Thank you, son. It's so wonderful to see all of you tonight. We've been looking forward to our face-to-face get-together with each of you for quite a while. Although the get-together is virtual face-to-face, it will be fine until next year when we are all hopefully together, actually face-to-face at IWU. What a great night we have had tonight for our 50th. I want to remind you of a few things. And these also go along with the newsletter, but are probably more than that. We have a Facebook page. And it's for our class. Many of you are already members of the group. All of you can be members. It's called, appropriately enough, Illinois Wesleyan University Class of 1970 on Facebook. We also have a website for our 50th reunion. On the Wesleyan website. Our class webpage will continue until next year's homecoming celebration. We will add new features as the year moves forward. So many people are there to be thanked for all the work on the website, including Kaylee and her group. But I'd like to give special thanks to Spencer Sauter for all the work he has done on this. And with the help of a number of you who've contributed your stories, and Kathy, Mark, the reunion committee, and other people in our class who help with articles, we still have our class of 1970 newsletter, Something Like the Argus. In the many years of its existence, both Linda Henderson Fisher and I have really loved creating this newsletter for you. I need your help. I've been able to run stories and pictures about many of you, but only if you send them to me. Please do so in the coming months. We want your news. Perhaps you could use your memory book information to help you write a couple of paragraphs. I would appreciate your help, and we all would enjoy reading about you. If you take a look in the chat area, you will find when I get done talking the email address to send this to. Thanks very much. And now on to Earl.
Thank you, Steve. Thinking back, 1966, 1970, in those 4 years, we came as strangers and many of us left as friends. After some of the best 4 years of our lives, we learned as much in the classroom as we did outside the classroom. With sports, student senate, clubs, concerts, we listened to famous speakers like Frank Borman, Dick Gregory, and John Lewis. And oh yes, an occasional party. We actually waited in line at Shaw Hall to sign up for classes on a piece of paper. We watched Richard Jenkins perform long before he won an Emmy Award. And we saw Graham Cow hit the final shot for the win during the last IWU-ISU basketball game. We ate the lights from Pearl in the dugout, had Tobin's and Lucas Pizza. We might have had breakfast at Brandtville after long studying. Those were the days. As Carol Burnett would say at the end of her shows, so glad we had this time together because it made us feel like we belonged here. We just got started, and before you know it, came the time to say goodbye. Or was it? As Bill and Steve mentioned, we've been one of the most active and loyal classes in the history of the university. We've been supporting the school through our time and treasure, as Bill mentioned, in terms of the generosity we've had over the years. We've had some of the largest number of alums coming back for homecoming each year. The class of 70 has been a major presence for the last 50 years. Please see the IW website, iw.edu homecoming, for further information about this week's events. And as Steve mentioned, there's also a separate class of 70 reunion site. Our 50th virtual class reunion is unique in IW's history, and the only class doing so this year. Even during these extraordinary times, our class spirit has never diminished. We will move on to our in-person reunion in 2021. A special thank you to Steve Burrichter, who's been part of the glue to keep our class together, working on the class Facebook, the web page, along with Spenny, and honoring the memory of Linda Hedison Fisher, as he mentioned, by continuing to publish something like the Argus. Also, to a special person at the Alumni Engagement Office, whose help has been invaluable in putting this virtual experience together. Kaylee Kurtz. Go, Kaylee. Thanks, Kaylee. Been a big help. Finally, let's see and hear a blast from the past with pictures of campus and songs that we knew and loved during our college days. Many thanks to Spencer Sauter for putting this video together. And as always, go Titans. Thanks for joining us tonight.
We are stars.
Great helmet, Dave.
51 years old.